Hi, everybody. Good evening. Welcome to Herren Project Live. You have Bonnie Sawyer as your host again, I guess three weeks in a row. So Izzy B was going to join us, but we gave her a day off. She deserved a little bit of time on a vacation. So before we get started, we had Julie Gregory and we were having Tori Farrell on tonight. Julie will not be with us, but we have Jonathan Dagher. I meant to ask him how he says his last name, so hopefully I didn't mess it up, but we'll have him on in a second. He can correct me. And then hopefully we will have Tori joining us after. But first and foremost, I just want to say last week I mentioned it was our empowerment appeal. And I am so grateful to mention that we far exceeded our goal with over $313,000. Just amazing. We had a goal of 250,000. So if you directly, donated to the appeal, or you donated to one of our runners or another person who is fundraising on our behalf, we thank you and just are so grateful. That means that so many more people will be able to be helped in 2022, which is our fiscal year just began for 2022. So thank you so much for everybody that did donate to that. I am now going to bring in Jonathan. Did I say your last name right or wrong?
You did. It's pronounced Dagher. Yeah, it's a Lebanese name.
I meant to ask you when we were backstage, but
yeah, no, it's okay.
We had such amazing conversation. So I am so glad that you could be with us, Jonathan.
I'm
we are talking.
Very happy to be here. Sorry, I don't mean.
Oh no, you're great. You have helped Herren Project with a fundraiser, and tonight is all about just, I think, young people making a difference. You're 20 years old, and you have just done incredible things for Herren Project through some really unique and innovative ways. So I'm so glad to have you on tonight. So my first question for you is, you're obviously not a typical young person. Not everybody at 20 years old is already thinking about giving back in any capacity. Sometimes we're a little more, I think, into ourselves at 20 years old. I can say that. I do have some of my own children. But, tell us a little bit about your journey and what has inspired you to do what you're doing and what you've done.
So I'll start off by saying that the project itself wasn't really my idea. I was messaged about it because I tend to run more events and broadcasts and such in the Georgia scene. And Josiah Leith, who was in more context, Georgia Smash Brothers. So there's this competitive game, Super Smash Brothers. People play it for money, for fun. There's a big community for it. And I tend to run events for that scene, and I tend to run broadcasts for it. So like all the big players in Georgia and such go to me for sort of events like that. But when a personal friend of Josiah's named Cole Parker and Kevin Hawks, two great, wonderful individuals, we found out that Josiah had passed. We wanted to come together in a time this was March of 2020, which I don't know if anybody here remembers March of 2020, but it was not a great time. It was a global pandemic. Very, very hard time for pretty much everybody. And trying to go into isolation, people going to online classes, etc. And when we found out that Josiah had passed, we wanted to do something to sort of lift our spirits and lift Josiah up and just try to celebrate his life. So we ran an online Super Smash Brothers tournament called Typhoon Saga. It was a Josiah Leith Memorial Tournament with all of the proceeds going to Herren Project. And so we ran the event, about 90 people entered, hundreds of people watched. We ended up getting a raid from a bigger streamer who had a lot of his followers donate even more money, and we raised over $2,000 in this sort of last minute, we want to come together and celebrate our friend type event. Because he really was really important to all of us. So I wouldn't necessarily like even consider my age as a factor for that. It was more of just it felt right at the time, and it continues to feel right to celebrate Josiah's life, not just to like donate to the charity and do better for people who are struggling with addiction, but to celebrate his life in whatever way we can, since he passed so early at 19.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true. And I mean, I think what I love about it, and I know I told you this, is, people are always looking for ways that they can remember a loved one, a friend, or a way to give back. And I just love your unique idea, of this video game tournament, which is fantastic and so different than what we typically see. It's not just about raising money. You're raising awareness for something that is affecting people your age and young people, every day. So what's the best part of like this? I know like this year you've now raised, I think between this year and last year, over $4,000. What's your favorite part of the Typhoon Saga and the whole Super Smash Ultimate event?
I think it's a combination of two things. One thing is just everybody coming together for a common cause. I love a lot of the people in that sort of competitive gaming community. Like, they're all my friends. I grew up around them. It made sense to host a Smash tournament for Josiah because Josiah spent his free time going to Smash tournaments.
Right.
And so that's one of my favorite parts, is just everybody coming together, playing, having a great time, because historically people have a lot of fun. Often the ends of the days are kind of a little somber because it's like we're celebrating his life. And that brings me to like my second favorite part is hearing people's stories about Josiah. We try to have people on for interviews, talking about Josiah's life and trying to just celebrate it and appreciate him. And hearing everybody talk about their stories and trying to display that to the world is really touching to me, and it's really emotional for me, and it's just great. I really, really like it.
That's fantastic. Yeah. So who's your favorite Smash Brothers character?
I would say probably Pokemon Trainer. You get 3 different Pokemon. You get Charizard, you get Bulbasaur, you get Venusaur, and you get Squirtle, which are like the three of the original Pokemon. I just like switching between all of them and all of that.
Well, I think you really do. It's such a fun thing. I shared in the comments just one of the link that you had given me. I mean, there's a number of things on YouTube that people can check out where everybody that was involved in this, event shared just fantastic, uplifting things about, Josiah. And that brings us to you and I were talking. I mean, loss is a real thing, and especially when your age. I mean, a lot of times, at 20 years old, it's hard to lose a person that you care about, right? Whether it be a friend or a family member. And usually, when you're 20, that kind of thing, or 19, right, shouldn't happen. And we're in a world where we are being plagued by addiction. 93,000 people's lives were lost in 2020. Josiah's being one of them. And I'm sure as a young person, I mean, what do you have, like, for people that are out there? I mean, how have you found ways to cope in positive ways to deal with that?
I think a lot of it comes down to my support systems, finding healthy ways to communicate with your closest friends, which not everyone has, and not everyone has the capacity to communicate with those people, because we aren't really taught how to like make friends, or we're not really even taught how to cope, I guess, which is like really messed up. right? We're not taught how to cope. In fact, we're actively like discouraged from finding healthy ways to find ourselves and cope. When in an age of social media, we're like supposed to be doom scrolling down Twitter and TikTok and watching all of the advertisements, maybe even instinctively buying something, impulsively buying something. Like these impulses are fed on, and it's really hard for people to find those systems. And something like the global pandemic, where not only were we isolated from a lot of the people we saw every day, not even just like our friends, but like going to class and going to the office, you were deprived of even that social interaction, whatever support system that might provide for you. Finding it in yourself to just, I can't even figure it out, because it's like if you don't have money or if you don't have friends, it is so hard to exist. It's so hard to like go to a draining job every single day and try to cope with all the loss that's happening around you, or nothing being around you, like having a empty sort of life that is very common, I would say, in the United States, is like just trying to find ways to make yourself happy in whatever way that you can. Trying new things and going out of your comfort zone is like just finding something is like the only way. I don't know. It's a hard question because I'm very lucky to have.
Yeah, and it's, I know you and I were talking before we got on, the first day of addiction, right? That we are trying to start a conversation with young people to talk about, the difficult things that they're going through, to learn healthy ways to cope before they choose to pick up a substance, because, no one knows who has the gene of addiction. You can experiment with some substances, but you don't know who has that gene. And when addiction, you're going to come, have the disease of addiction. And, you were also talking about, which I thought was really interesting, about the impulsiveness that social media and, different things are teaching us or teaching young people. I thought that was really interesting. Do you want to talk a little bit more about that and how, the way that social media is affecting young people today? I thought what you had to say was so right on.
I think that social media is a much larger effect, has a much larger effect, because it's one of the most intimate ways for something like an advertiser or even a website to communicate with you and tell you what to do, because it's very personal to you. This is how you interact with people, where it's like in the past, it's sort of like you advertising was maybe a billboard on the side of the road or on the television, or it's like someone personally reaching out to you. But on social media, and the amount of time that people spend on social media is like hours upon hours each day. Like I think the average was something over 4 or 5 hours people spend on their phones just on social media. And this is all unlimited time for advertisers to continuously push you ads. And it's in Twitter's best interest, it's in Facebook's best interest for you to keep looking at those and for you to impulsively buy things. That's how these models like stay around. And that's why there's so much research and neural networking being done about what advertisements are the most effective, what's the most likely to get clicks, all that. It's all based around impulsiveness, and it's all based around just not thinking, which is really scary. We don't know the long-term effects of that, and I think we're already feeling some of the long-term effects of that in addiction, in widespread poverty, and et cetera.
Right. But well, I think, with young people like you, what I love about your generation is you're all about social responsibility, and finding you all make that a priority. That's one of the beautiful things about your generation is, you want to make change, and you are doing that every day, just even right this moment by being on Herren Project Live and speaking your truth. I was telling you, our motto at Herren Project is be you. We want to encourage people of all ages to be proud of who they are, to be you and to stand up for who you are and be proud of it and not try to change yourself. I think that's a lot of what, young people or people of all ages, I don't even want to say young people, do turn to substances. Substances can, take away those feelings. So what do what do you do, to help cope in positive, healthy ways? I know we talked about, what you mentioned something earlier, but I know your video games. Are there other things that you do? Are there other causes that you get behind? Other ways that you were telling me about some really exciting things that you had on the horizon. I mean, what's the future for Jonathan?
I think a lot of my coping, and I'm very, very lucky, like this is coming from a very privileged perspective, but I get to be around a lot of people that I really love in my life. I have a lot of friends and friendships that I formed in different communities I've in, whether it's in gaming or whether it's in queer communities or what have you, or from my college. And I think I'm really lucky for all those things. I think that I'm doing something really fulfilling to me right now, which not all 20-year-olds get to do, especially if you're going to college for a degree that you might not be that passionate about. I'm doing something that is very fulfilling to me in esports. I'm doing something that I feel like I'm making progress in, and that I'm just, I don't know, sometimes I feel like I'm doing really well in something, and that is a feeling that helps me feel progress. There's a lot of theory about how attachment to your work and making and your work feeling important, like you do something and you immediately see the response to it, like construction, like you build a house and people live in that house, that feels good. I think that a lot of people are completely detached from their work, and that can make it incredibly hard to cope with things. So I'm very lucky in that I get to cope by working and by being around my friends. Like those are things I do every single day.
Yeah, you are right. We have a question. I'm put it up. How might we foster better connection, supportive friendships, and a sense of belonging? Do you have anything to add to that as a young person?
How might we better foster personal connection? I think it's really a lot of my mentality, and this is a very extroverted perspective, is like I want to meet and talk to as many people as possible, and a lot of those people will stick around in my life because I see a lot of value in those people. Being vulnerable as hard as it can be, and being respectful of another person's boundaries and all that, allowing somebody else to feel comfortable around you as you are comfortable around them, I think is a big part of finding a sense of belonging. Even doing hobbies you're interested in. Like I said earlier, Smash is how I made a lot of my friends. Smash is how Josiah made a lot of his friends. Stuff like gardening, tennis, like having a hobby, doing something with another person where you're both improving at it, you're making progress, you have an activity to do together. I think those are some of the strongest bonds you can have. Or is just, maybe, and even if it's just talking to someone.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. I think what you're saying, and I think like you were brought up at the beginning about the pandemic, we had lost a sense of community and a sense of connection. And I think that human connection is it's vital to everything that we do. And that's one of the vital components to addiction and being able to, recover from it. And I know that you mentioned to me, that was one of the hardest things that, even Josiah at the beginning of the pandemic, everyone lost that sense of connection. So, and I think that, in his memory, you're doing amazing work to bring a community back together and you're doing incredible work. And I know everyone at Herren Project is grateful for the effort and the time that you put into that, and the awareness that you're bringing to, your group of friends and to young people all across the country to start talking and thinking about addiction, and to know that it's real, and also, to be comfortable and, like you said, vulnerable, and to talk. So, I appreciate you coming on tonight and sharing. Is there anything you want to leave us with before we go?
I did just have a thought that I wanted to share, is that
Sure.
Sometimes it's not even just like the first decision to make that, like you accept like a drug for the first time from like your friend or peer pressure or something, but oftentimes I know a lot of people who have had chronic injury, who have been prescribed painkillers and have never gotten off of them.
Yeah.
And I think that trying to cope with that is one of the hardest things we can do. And I don't suffer from any of that. And I think Josiah did suffer from some of that. And it's just really heartbreaking to think about. But that was just a thought that I had that I needed to share and get off my chest, is acknowledging that it's not just that first decision, but sometimes it's a decision that just comes into your life. Without your consent.
I think you're pretty amazing, and thank you for sharing all of that, because I do think there's a lot of people out there that need to hear it. And if you are struggling, or you have a loved one who's struggling, Herren Project is here to help you, or a family member. If you want to find out more, or you want to just reach out to the phone number, or call us, or send an email to recovery@herrenproject.org, and someone's there that can help anybody.
I think there is so much for people to live for, and so many people in this world to live for. I wanted to shout out just the entirety of like the Georgia competitive Super Smash Bros. Community for like coming out and supporting Typhoon Saga. I wanted to specifically shout out Kevin Hucks, wonderful guy who helped with the event. I wanted to shout out June Lee. I wanted to shout out Cole Parker, and the Kennesaw State University Esports Club. Josiah was a student at Kennesaw State University when he passed, and the Kennesaw State University Esports Club collaborated with me on the event because of the circumstances. I'm a student there as well. And just anybody who donated and helped out to Typhoon Saga, it really is a great cause, and please hang in there, because there are people that care about you, and there will be people that care about you.
I think that is the perfect way to end. So thank you so much, Jonathan, for being with us. That was wonderful. So Victoria is not here to join us. So this will be the end of Herren Project Live. We thank everybody for joining us tonight. I put up a comment. We are trying to get our great nonprofit of 2021 top rated award again this year, but we need your help. So if you can go to greatnonprofits.org/Herren Project, we would appreciate everyone just making a positive review about us. We need 13 more to be top rated for 2021. So we would appreciate all your help on that. And I hope you guys all have a wonderful night. Thank you. Be you.